Welcome back to another one of my warframe videos. Reason why I haven't been making really anything lately is because bunch of complications, one of which again was noise problems, and then of course there was just extremely hot weather, and it was just way too hot to even record. I mean, sure I could have done it, but it would have been really a pain in the ass, just sweating everywhere and everything, and you don't need to know the details. Anyway, this video here is going to be about K drives, because although a lot of people have made videos about K drives, they generally cover the basics, and I want to go in depth, and I want to go in depth with some tips and tricks I find out about them. Okay, so first, where I am is again Venus, or Valus, which is basically the snowy area outside Venus. I mean outside Fortuna, one of the new zones in the game, and I'm just going back inside to quickly make sure that my K drive has the basic stuff equipped. In other words, nothing. No mods. Because K drives can have mods, and they're actually really useful, and I'm going to cover why they're useful really soon. Okay, so just going into the K drive. Okay, good. It's on configuration C, where I have no mods at all on it. So I can also show you what it's like when you first get a K drive and start off with one. Alright, so when you... Oh, right, of course the K drive isn't here. I have to go and actually select it from my gear wheel. Yeah, so when you first get on the K drive, one of the first things you will notice is that it takes a very long time to build up score. I'll show you what I mean. So I just go down one of my favorite tracks, which is just going right out here, outside Venus, and as you can tell, I can generally get a point score of around about 100 by doing tricks. Just average tricks like I'm doing here. But, the thing is, the points you get from that, like generally, I think they might have actually increased the points a little bit in a patch, because I used to get even less than this. And generally, when you get, as I was saying, when you're getting these points, they don't really translate to much. I think it's like 1/10 or something, or 1/15, maybe a 30th. So, an example is, like, let's say you get, let's say it is a 30th, and then you get, or let's say 10%. So let's say you get 30 score, 10% of that, I'm pretty sure, is 3. So that's only 3 reputation gain, and you need, like, it in the 10,000s to get new ranks with the Vent Kids, which is the faction that you need to, like, that you actually need to, get points with for, you need to get points with to level up everything and get the cool mods. So that's why one of the things I actually recommend doing when starting out is because this, I've actually, because I wanted to test out a K drive fully and everything, and make sure I really know how it works and everything, so I can actually make this video good and proper. Hold on a minute. Oh, in fact, actually, this ties into it well. You also want to be taking with you some decent weapons, at least semi-decent, to get rid of all the corpus, because they are so annoying, and if you don't drive fast on your K drive, they'll just keep bringing up the alert level over and over, and it will just ruin your day. It's also why it's good to sometimes have a pet with you, like my infested dog here, Ashes. Okay, so, as I was saying, I've actually taken long enough driving the K drives and everything that one of the recent patches has actually made these races here get you points. So to start the race, and this is actually a really good way of getting reputation when you're first starting out with the K drive. So to start the race, you just press X, talk to the dude, or the kid in this case. You can't hear him because I like to have all the audio for them off when making these videos, but it doesn't matter. He basically just talks about the average skater stuff about, oh, going fast, being cool, see if you can beat my score, and no matter how fast you drive, he generally says you haven't beaten my score. Yeah, another thing, that thing that's just driven by there, the coil drive, that can actually be really annoying when doing these races, or in general, just driving around your K drive, because if it gets close enough to you, it'll just straight up run you over, and that'll ruin any combo you have going, and also, it could potentially make you lose the race. Actually, I don't think it would make you lose the race, but it definitely make you lose good time, because the faster you go through all these, through all, like, these beacon things here, the higher your score will be. So I'm gonna do that now. Yeah, so, when starting out and doing these races, just use the X button or A button or whatever button you're using, it's spaces if you're playing on the PC, to just do small jumps and get through the... Don't do that. Don't be an idiot like me and just fall over, because that ruins your score. You also want to be using the boost button to make yourself go faster. And what I recommend doing when first doing these races is don't do any tricks at all. Just go through the race and try and do it as fast as possible, and just boost all the time. Yeah, because as you can see there, I got a score of around like around 3,000, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that the score you get there is actually like basically a point score. What I mean by that is, let me just do a few tricks. So as you can see, I was doing tricks before, and those bunch of tricks that got me a score of 60. And even stringing heaps and heaps of tricks together, will generally without mods get you a score around I guess 1,000. And that race just gave me 3,000 score. And you can repeat them, by the way, so you can do the races over and over again. So when starting out, I recommend just doing races over and over again to get your reputation. Right, so now that I've shown you a bit, like the semi basics of how to do tricks and everything on the K drive. Oh wait, now I remember what I was actually gonna say. Sorry, what I wanted to show you. So when trying to do the and we're actually driven over to the island, so no one would interrupt me. And let me just go back there. So what I was going to show you is that there's actually an option which is extremely useful when you're on a K drive, which is the like a toggle sprint option. So if you just go into, I think it was controls. Yeah, here it is. Toggle sprint. So why this is really useful is, when doing K drive races, it means you don't have to constantly hold down the button. You can just press the button once. Like I've got this currently, since I'm using an Xbox 360 controller. I've got it bound to the directional pad up. So I just press it. I just mount the K drive, and then press the directional pad up once, and I start boosting. And I can press it again, and I stop boosting. I've actually done the same thing for aiming. So when I aim, I just press it once, and I keep aiming until I start running or something like that. In fact, one of the things I love is that if I start running normally, and then start aiming, and then stop, it makes me I continue running again, which is why I actually really love toggling stuff, and I recommend it no matter what platform you're playing on. Right, so now I've shown you the basic stuff of how a K drive works. You may be like, after doing a bunch of it, you may be thinking, well, geez, this sucks. I'm getting hardly any points. Even with doing races, it's taking forever. Well, trust me when I say it gets a lot better soon, and I'll show you why. Because I'm going to switch to 2 loadouts very soon. One of the loadouts I have on my K drive is my racing loadout, and one of them I have is my trick loadout. Now, even though I don't have the best speed mods, the mods that actually like make your boosting go faster, in my opinion, the K drive, even without those mods, just like the basic generic K drive with no mods on it, is actually kind of fast enough. So let me just go into my K drive, and then I'll select the slot A, which is the racing slot. Yeah, so for this build, for the K, yes, I know K drives actually have build. I have all these mods equipped. Let me just explain what they do. So of course, these first few brown mods, or like common mods, you can get them very easily by just and they. Oh, that's annoying. Let me just move a little bit further away from Yuriko so she's not blasting in your ear while I'm talking. Okay, so as I was saying, before being rudely interrupted by Yuriko there, I was going to explain what the mods for my K drive did. Okay, so all these 3 mods here, you can get them semi easily. They cost 75,000 standing, so I'd say doing around 12 races or so should get you them, pretty sure. Not entirely sure. Anyway, I'll now explain what all the mods do. So, this increases K drive grind speed. So you saw before when I was grinding on the rails, this makes the grind a lot faster. It can also look ridiculous when you're not boosting and then get on a rail, because suddenly, immediately when you hit the rail, you're suddenly just going much faster. It looks kind of stupid, actually. Kind of like you're a clown trying to make the corpus laugh on a K drive. I know, kind of weird analogy, but that's what I'll go with. Then, maglocks is super useful. This allows you to gives you your K drive more magnetism, so you actually land on the grind rails around all valves better, and you don't just fly off them and land on the floor and get a shittier trick score. Then I I shouldn't actually have this one on yet, because that's one I want to explain about later. And then airtime, it gives you less gravity when falling down, so it allows you to stay in the air for longer, and generally get more points because you're falling down slower. You get to stay in the air longer, and even while you're falling, it actually gives you points. Then Pop Top is a much later mod, but still very useful. It decreases the charge of the jump time, so instead of holding down the jump button for a while and then releasing it to jump, it makes that happen much, much quicker. Alright, now I just need to go out to the Orvalis to show you what I mean about how this can make it great, especially for races, because some of the races actually require you to along pipes and stuff, like some of the orbs you need to collect. And this grind mod makes it really, really easy to go along those because you're suddenly grinding faster. And if you weren't, then you have to be like driving along on top of the pipe. And if you're not grinding, you can very easily fall off the pipes. I'll show you what I mean, like right now. Okay, so also where I'm going is actually an excellent way to boost your standing if you don't like the races. Because I know some of you would be going through the races and just find them so boring and be rather just doing tricks. That's like, because doing tricks and doing the races is one of the two ways you get standing, and I understand if you just absolutely hate the races. So, this is what I meant by the mod is kind of ridiculous. Let me just jump up here, and I start grinding. So you can see how fast I'm going, and now suddenly, as soon as I hit the track, I'm just zooming off like a speeding bullet. It's kind of ridiculous. And that's also what I meant right there about how it's much easier to grind, because now, let me just boost, and I just try and stay on the pipe without grinding. As you can see, I'm already trying to like right myself, and I'm just going all over the place, and now I've even fallen off. And you can see how much more annoying that would be. Like, let's just say one of these pink orbs for the races I had to collect was right here. It was right here, right next to this mushroom on the track. I go along, okay, this time I'm doing it fine, but let's say I was boosting, and yeah, I've just fallen off again. So, as you can see, that's why I like that mod so much. And also the magnetism mod means you stick to grinds much faster, as I already said. And now what I'm going to talk about next is how this area here with the pipes is a really, really, really good way to get reputation. And one of the main reasons why is because of this pipe here. Because you can actually do a few tricks, grind on it, jump off, do a few more tricks, grind on it again because the magnetism mods will make you stick. And if you're fast enough, actually like flip around. I didn't do it there, but trust me when I say you can actually go and like change the tricks to... What did I do? Where did my K-drive go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so as I was saying before, I somehow slingshotted my K-drive into space and it somehow came back. One of the great ways to get points is get up on top of this pipe like I was just showing you, then grind along it, and make sure that you come back after you finish like grinding. Like, so you do a few tricks like I was saying before, and then you get off, spin around, and don't do that. As you can see, I'm kind of actually terrible with this because I have a controller. And if you, and this may be the case for you as well. If it is, just try and turn up the sensitivity maybe temporarily of your controller. I don't want to do that because I have my sensitivity set nice and good. And sensitivity while looking while on a K-drive also affects gun sensitivity, which means I'll start aiming much quicker, which I actually don't want, which is why I haven't done it. But trust me when I say that if you're playing on PC with a keyboard and mouse, you can just really quickly flick the mouse around, and you'll be able to actually turn yourself quick enough to get back on this pipe and just do a continuous grind. It's also, you can also just not bother doing it on that pipe for a little while and try and get on all the rest of the pipes and pick up these little things here. Oh yeah, by the way, these things, they're a point multiplier. So how point multipliers work is each time you do a trick, or every so often when you do a few tricks, it'll increase your point multiplier, which, well, it's pretty easy to explain. It increases your score by whatever it says there. And collecting these little things here increases it by 1, which may not seem like such a big difference, but it all adds up, especially when you're stringing really, really cool and long tricks together, which get you heaps and heaps of points. Oh, now I've generally explained that stuff, let me show you what I mean by it becomes much easier when you get, when you get some of the much later mods, and how just easy it is to grind and how much more fun it is with a K-drive and everything. Oh, also, when grinding around here, these things will just shoot you off really fast, and it can sometimes be really hard to actually control where you fly off to. So don't feel bad if you end up hitting the walls a bunch with those things, like with those boost pads. In fact, when I like to do tricks, I generally just avoid them because they make me go too fast. Like, it's actually so fast that I can't really even control where I'm going, and I just fly off them and hit stuff and generally lose my tricks. So I just need to wait a little while I go back into Fortuna. Wait, what? Not options. I need to go to Arsenal and actually equip the K-Drive mods. Also, feel free to do like follow along with what I did here and include one like one configuration for tricks, one for racing, and one for something else. I don't know, maybe just basic K-Drive. You want to have just a basic race to your friends who has no mods, you can just make it one of them has no mods, I guess. Yeah, so soon you see why, in my opinion, K-Drive, doing tricks on K-Drive gets much, much better once you have the right kind of mods equipped. Any second now. There we are. Alright, so as you can see before, all my tricks were generally getting around 70 score or around 100 score, and now just watch this. Yeah, in fact, one thing, if you're paying really close attention there, I actually got points just for jumping. That's because if you go high enough in the air and fall back down, you actually get points. And because of one of the mods I have, Initial Dampeners, which increases the point score by 4, it means I'm actually, like, getting a score of 5 times just by doing an average jump. So you can already see how much this thing is just increasing my point score. And now, I'm going to show you what I meant by being able to go on the pipe over and over again, like as if you had a mouse, if you weren't using a controller like I was. So, doing a few tricks. Oh, damn, I missed that. Let me just start again. Okay, going on the pipe. Doing a few tricks. And then turning around mid-air. Okay, I failed there, but as you can see, even though I failed, I got around 1,000 points just for doing a few tricks. And, oh, well, there I let go of the button, so again, I failed the trick. But trust me when I say, with enough practice, and especially, I think I'd be better at this if I wasn't actually commentating, because half of my mind is, like, concentrating on commentating. Yeah, there, I just did it. As you can see, I just kind of done what you can call, like I said, reversal on the pipe, and you can just keep on chaining this, and when you get around about 100 score or so, you can just exit the pipe, because then your point total will be 3,000. That's the maximum you can get. So, that's actually the general goal you should be going to if you want to maximize your point scoring, and in turn maximize your standing for K-Drives. Go for around about a 3,000 point score, which would be around 100 times multiplier, which is really easy to get with the Initial Dampeners and all the other mods I have equipped on the K-Drive right now. And just keep doing it over and over on this pipe if you really want to get K-Drive standing up as quick as possible. And if you don't have the mods, just do the same thing on the pipe, or just do races when I said it when starting off. Now, one of the other things I want to cover is how you can potentially actually ruin your score when you're on a K-Drive for the stupidest reasons. Let me show you what I mean. So, I'll just be doing a little bit of I'll just be doing a few tricks here. Land on the pipe, fall off the pipe. Okay, that didn't work. Let me just try that again. Okay, so just quickly landing on the pipe and then immediately falling off. As you can see there, the score turned red. That is because this game is way too overly finicky when it comes to counting your score and even falling off the slightest of obstacles. Like this rock here. I'll do a perfect trick right here, land on the rock, immediately fall off the rock, and it turns red, which I think around like about half your score. At least it does something bad to your score. Not how much, I'm not sure what the exact math is, but I know it ruins your score in some way. But there is a way to try and avoid it. Let's say we were right now on top of a much higher part. Let's say we were on top of the mountain right here. In fact, I'll just go a little bit higher up to show you what I mean. Okay, so let's say we're up here. What we can do is do a few tricks. That didn't actually work, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, as I was saying, do a few tricks. land the trick. And then let's say, let's pretend that I was now falling off again, and falling down this part of the mountain right here. If you notice yourself falling, and there's enough room, just do a few more tricks, because even if you do like 1 or 2 tricks, and don't even get your score multiplier too high, and then land, it will count as doing extra tricks, which will then, like, of course, count as score, and it won't actually count as you falling off and ruining your score because you didn't stick the landing properly. In fact, that's what the red is actually meant to be. The red is meant to be you didn't stick your landing properly. So let's say I was doing another trick and really awkwardly, like, let's say I did what I did there, where I somehow like bounced off this mushroom really awkwardly, or done the trick way too late and almost crashed on the floor. That is actually why it's meant to turn red. That's what the game is trying to do. But the trick, like the score multiplier score, is so overly finicky, as I already said before. It'll just make you fall off way too much. And now I think about it, that's oh yeah. Another thing I'd like to cover is that you can, of course, do tricks in the plains of Eidolon, but keep in mind that there are no grind rails, and grind rails are an excellent way of stringing together tricks. In fact, let me just go over here to one of the places I know that keeps the grind rails to show you what I mean. Because like I was saying, because there's no grind rails on like around the plains of Eidolon, your trick score multiplier and everything is going to be much less because you can't string tricks together. Like right here is a great place. So I'll do this twice. Let's say I'm just doing the tricks here normally without grinding on anything. I get a 400 point score there, 150 point score there, and around up. Not even sure why I fell over. This didn't actually happen before, but never mind. So I got around about, let's say, 600 points there. Now, I'll show you what it's like when you're actually going along the grind rails and making use of them. And yes, you can actually grind on this sign up here if you get high enough. And also grind right here. Yeah, so you can now see how much of a difference that makes. Just by using a couple of grind rails, I was able to get my score all the way up from around about 600 to 3,000, which is a big improvement in my opinion. And as I just said, Cetus doesn't have any of these grind rails, so you can't link your scores together and get really like a huge amount of points all the time, even if you are even if you have the initial dampeners mod on, which is the score multiplier increase. Unless, of course, you somehow fall out of the world and have to reset yourself and get a 3,000 point score. That was actually how I got my first one. Don't try it, though. That may actually be counted as an exploit, and I don't want you to get banned. Yeah, so this is almost everything I want to cover when it comes to K-drives and little. Oh wait, there actually is one last tip I have, and that is that with all these mods that I have equipped, including Pop and Vert, which is a mod that allows you to do like a double jump. Like as you can see there, as the first trick I done made me go higher. That's what it means by double jump. So, with all those mods and like another one I forgot to mention in my trick load that I have that increases whatchamacallit, that increases how high you can jump. You can actually do what I was doing there, because if you pay close attention to the video, you can actually I land on the floor, but if sometimes when you land on the floor with these mods equipped, and you just press X really quickly, like so, you can actually continue the trick. And I've actually done it there twice, so and even there again when I landed on top of that of this light here, so you can potentially get a much higher trick than you should be by sort of tricking this tiny little bit, by making it think that you haven't actually landed the trick because you haven't for a split second. And I'm pretty sure that actually is allowed. I'm pretty sure that there isn't an exploit. Just don't do what I said before. And now I'm gonna go back to Orvalis, because the last thing I want to explain is another tactic you can do to increase your like your reputation with event kids. It's really simple, but it involves platinum though. It involves about as much platinum as it takes to basically buy a K-drive the premium way. But you could of course do it non-premium and just grind for all the platinum like I have off the trade chat and stuff like that, and using warframe.market. And if you want to know how to make platinum, I'll include a link to one of my videos below about like a beginner's guide of making platinum. I show you how to fish Norgs and some other stuff that people may want. Okay, so if you don't know how to actually get to the vent, kids, they're actually up here. You just flip jump up here and go up here and press X and you enter their clubhouse. But I didn't even know about this place, like this little place you actually can get to them with, for ages, because what I done was I just went into fast travel, looked at all the people here, and were like, oh, Rocky, this is apparently where you get K-drives. Pressed it, and it immediately teleported me inside the little clubhouse. Alright, so this is what I was explaining. When you talk to him, everything is actually available, open and available from the start, except his wares. This is what I mean. Like, if you go into Event Kit Standing and click Offerings, which is kind of, well, you really should say wares, because this is what he's selling. Well, selling for reputation. Basically, if he thinks you're cool enough, he'll give you stuff for free. That's what you're doing. You're basically becoming cool enough to get free shit. It's kind of funny. So, with what I was explaining, you need a bunch of parts to build your board. It doesn't matter what you build your board out of. You can build it out of the cheapest parts available, which generally is all the stuff down here. Like, generally the stuff that comes first will be the cheapest parts. And you need 3 parts to build your board for a K-drive assembly. And that is, hold on, let me just go into it. Oh, 4 actually. You of course need the body. Reactor, so of course it's powered, otherwise it won't be moving, it will just be a plank of metal. The nose, which I guess gives it aerodynamics, or perhaps, I don't know, skis in the front for some weird reason. And then the jet, because without engines, all the fumes would clog up inside it and it would explode, making a very effective bomb, but not an effective skateboard, or hoverboard, whatever you call this, K-drive. Alright, so, as I was explaining before, when you go in and start doing, since you get a free K-drive from doing the Vox Solaris quest, which you need to actually start ranking up with these guys, you don't actually even need to, in fact, what am I saying? You don't even need to use platinum for this tactic. You can pretty much use the base K-drive they give you, except the only bad thing is it won't be named. So you want your K-drive to look cooler, or you want to name it, then, of course, you will need to buy stuff from them. But otherwise, you don't have to bother about any of this stuff and just concentrate all your reputation on the mods. And, of course, if you want to name it, you can, as I was saying, click Today's Special, and go over and preview a K-drive. In my opinion, this actually looks pretty cool, except for the Dinkadonk. Wow, that sounds, well, rude. Because, in my opinion, it doesn't look that good there. It looks like you've just strapped a gun to the front. It kind of looks awful, actually, in my opinion. The jets, though, and everything else is very cool. And then, of course, there's some parts like this you just can't change the K-drive. So, it actually... Oh, I was actually wrong. It actually costs even less. 54 platinum. So, not even around 100. So, that's actually a lot less trading you need. So, anyway, if you buy this with platinum, you can have a cool-looking K-drive that you can then personally color, and you get to name it right away, and you don't even need to spend reputation on any of their parts here. Either way, as I said before, you may want to be wanting to concentrate on the first few mods. These 3 I'd actually really recommend getting. In fact, I was using all of these in different loadouts. This is the gravity one I told you about that makes you take longer to fall down. This is the one about magnetism, which makes you latch onto the grind rails much better. This one increases your grind speed. And this one, I recommend not getting until way later, because you can see, Tricks leave a trail of heat, inflicting 40 damage to enemies. That is minuscule. You can get more than 40 damage on the latter, which is one of the worst pistols in the game, by just shoving in a few basic mods that aren't even that hard to get. And then, oh, do you want to either get off your K-drive for a tiny while and shoot stuff with your ladder, which will not only level it up and potentially even complete a mission if it's like a kill 20 enemies with a pistol mission that the game gives you right at the start, or do you want to go around doing tricks, doing barely any damage at all to enemies? In fact, if you want to do damage to enemies, there's way better mods, such as Cold Arrival. Dismounting deals 400 cold damage to enemies within 4 meters. So, it's basically asking you the obvious question of, do you want to do a bunch of tricks and like put in all this hard work to leave a tiny, stupid little flame trail that'll barely damage enemies, or do you want to get off your K-drive and have them all explode and freeze to death, in a ball of cold? So that's why I'd recommend getting that way more. All these mods are very good as well. Perfect Balance is great for newbies. because it makes you resist falls. So sometimes when you, as you can see there, when I randomly fell off my board, I'm pretty sure it was because I actually didn't have this mod equipped. This makes this happen much less. It's basically the mod prevents K-Drive oopsies. That actually sounds really stupid, but I'll keep calling it that. Then, of course, there's Pop Top, which I don't actually suggest getting this one that much. It just decreases the time on your jump height. I actually recommend getting this later because, in my opinion, the average jump height isn't even that long. It doesn't take that long to charge. Pop and Vert is really good for tricks because, as I said, it gives you a double jump on the end of your tricks. Inertial Dampen is a must-have for trick because it gives point multiplier scores. Kinetic Friction is kind of cool. It deals damage to enemies as you grind, but the thing is, it only as you can see here from what the mod says, grinding has a buildup of charge that releases when landing the trick. So, and it deals like 400 electric damage. So, in my opinion, Cold Arrival is much better because you just jump off the K drive, land the enemies, and damage them for 400 cold damage. Whereas with this, you have to grind for a bunch, then do tricks to make sure you're doing a trick. And of course, the game will count as a trick to charge up the kinetic friction here, and then release the trick, which is just land it properly, and that'll finally do the 400 damage to the enemies. Slayboard sounds kind of complicated because you have to do a directional dismount. I actually haven't even figured out how to do this at first, but as you can see there from the picture, you have to somehow get your K-drive sideways and then dismount it while you're doing it sideways, and that'll launch the board forward, and it will do 400 damage while slicing enemies. I'm pretty sure it will look really cool and allow you to cut enemies in half, but if you just want to plain old damage enemies while on your K-drive, get near them with a Cold Rifle and jump off, like I said before. Vendo Hover Drive increases the jump height, so it allows you to jump higher, thereby letting you fall more, getting more trick score, which is awesome. Mad Stack. Okay, this is great for races, terrible for tricks, and this is the reason why. 120% velocity when falling down. You don't want this when doing tricks because you actually want to stay in the air for longer. You basically want to be like some weird UFO, staying in the air all the time to get more trick score, because the longer you're in the air, the more tricks you can do. This will make you fall down faster, thereby making your trick not last as long. Also, if you're not used to falling as fast, this could potentially make you fall off your board a bunch of times. Quick Escape can be really useful if there's a bunch of corpses after you and you need to escape, and like the alert level is level 5. But in my opinion, it's not that good, because you only get 5 seconds of invulnerability, and there's other mods that can give you invulnerability, like Quick Sinking, which in my opinion is a bit better than this. Then, the rest, well, these two are 2 speed mods. This is increases the general K-drive speed, which sounds nice, and it is nice and kind of fun, but these two actually don't increase it that much. I've watched a video of a certain YouTuber, I forgot the name of him, but I will include the video here, and he goes into great detail explaining how these 2 mods don't actually increase your K-drive speed that much. It's only by 30%. You may think that sounds like a decent amount. It's not really, and I can't really give it justice. Like, I can't really give the video justice by explaining it, so that's why I'm going to link it in the video description. Then, this, I'm not sure how good this is. Every 10 seconds, boosting will release a sonic shockwave stunning enemies. Pay attention to what it says here. It says stun, not damage. So that's like potentially, if you've ever used Mesa, her number 2 ability allows you to jam enemies' guns, and then they will bash the gun incompetently while not being able to shoot you. That's basically what I'd count as a stun. That's what this does. It doesn't actually damage them. So again, for damage, you just want Cold Arrival. And then, of course, the last one that you can purchase is Thrash Landing. This can be kind of good because the tricks will even release explosive damage when landing the trick to enemies within 400 meters. So it's kind of like Cold Arrival, but if you string up a really, really huge trick, like a 3,000 point score trick, you can potentially do more damage to enemies than with Cold Arrival. But in my opinion, this is much harder to target than with Cold Arrival because you have to do the tricks and then make sure you get off and not get off the K-drive, land the trick successfully near enemies that are shooting you without them killing you, and then it will trigger the blast fin, like the explosion from the K-drive. Whereas with this, you get near the enemies and get off. You don't have to worry about doing tricks. Yeah, so that is actually pretty much everything you need to know when it comes to K-drives. Oh, and one last thing, of course, is that your K-drive standing will be linked to your mastery. So, if and how mastery works is, you get 1,000 mastery for starting off. 1,000 reputation that you can earn with the vent kits for starting off. and then it will afterwards show, it will show you, sorry, I forgot what I was just saying. Okay, I forgot what I was saying. Let me start again. So, Mastery will start off, like, you start off with being able to earn 1,000 reputation for a faction. Then at Mastery Rank 2, it adds another 1,000 reputation, and so on. I can currently earn 2,000 reputation with any faction that I choose to work with, because I'm Mastery Rank 19, so it's added 19,000 score. So, and that is very useful to keep in mind when you're out and doing tricks. Because if your point score is really terrible for doing a lot of tricks, then you may be at your mastery cap, and in that case, you should just stop right there. An excellent example is, let's say you've done 3 tricks that give you about 3,000 points each, and then this amount of, the amount of actual reputation you get is something like 250, which is pathetic for that. That means don't try and keep going for more reputation, including doing races. You've reached your cap for the day, and the best thing you can do is also come back for tomorrow. Oh, also another thing about the Vent Kids is, unlike syndicates, there are no little goodies you can go and treasure hunt and find. Like, I'll show you what I mean by just going to one of the relays and showing you my favorite syndicate, Cephalon Suda. Yeah, what I'm talking about is these little things that you basically go and, I guess you could call it a treasure hunt. I'm not sure what's actually meant to leave them there when it comes to the lore. Maybe it's Cephalon Suda doing that to, like, test your knowledge of the place and everything. Yeah, I'm really not sure. Oh, and, I actually can't fast travel to this because it is not a fast travel location. So I'm just going to have to get there manually. I would fast travel otherwise. Okay, so get there, you just go through one of these doors, and then all the syndicates are lined up here. Cephalon Suda is like at the very end. Close to the very end. Yeah, there, here it is. So when doing the missions, you will find these things called datums, and each one of them allows you to get a certain amount of reputation. For example, turning in one of the basic ones gives you 500, turning in one of the intriguing ones gives you 1,000, and turning in the genius one gives you 5,000. The Vent Kits have nothing like this, and that's kind of a shame, because these things are excellent for gaining reputation, because they don't actually count towards your cap. Like, for instance, if you do and earn all the maximum, like, reputation you can for the day by just doing average missions, or let's say the sortie or something, which is kind of hard mission you can only attempt once per day, then, and let's say you get your cap, like let's say you get all the way up to your cap. So let's say I got 20,000 reputation, and I couldn't get any more. You can still do the missions for Cephalon Suda, and not only will it give you a bit of extra reputation for doing the mission itself, you just won't get any more reputation for killing stuff, which is how you, and getting experience, which is how you get the reputation normally. But you will also be able to go and do a little treasure hunt and find these things, which are again extra reputation. So if you do all the missions of a syndicate in a single day, and really scour the place with like Thief's Wit or another, or Loot Detector, or one of those things that allows you to detect loot, then you can potentially get a heap more, way more reputation than you can get with the Vent Kids, which is a real shame. Vent Kids is always capped at your current daily reputation all the time, and there's nothing really you can do to change it. Even doing races won't go past that. So, alright, yeah, that's actually pretty much it when it comes to K-Drives. I hope you found this little video informative, especially some of the little tips I've shown you, like how you can potentially do a little jump off the floor and continue your trek multiplier. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for K-Drives, and if you're wondering why there's jingles in the background, I still haven't taken off the Christmas decorations of my ship. So yeah, that's why. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, hope it was informative like I said before, and yeah, that's pretty much it for it. Bye!